The right-sided swing is very much based on the starting position, and when you're reading the book, the most important part is to get the shape of the body right. Now we try to not confuse too many parts of the body. So what we do is we try to get the top and bottom half in the proper order at the start and maintain it throughout. When we set up, what we call the wall is just a line from my left side straight through my shoulder, which is straight, and I tuck with my right hip. So I really don't have any lean from the left side of my body. I have the tuck in the right side of the body, so that when I set and get my shaft lean, I'm in this angle. Now the right arm is obviously slightly flexed with the right wrist angle, and my pressure is through the left side of my body with the tuck in the right side of the body. Okay, the most important angles in the right-sided swing from the back, and you'll notice it with most of my players, is that we bend from a straight position from the hips with a slight flex in the knees, and the head and shoulders are actually up. So the shoulder blades are actually quite back, and when the arms hang from the body, the right arm will be at this angle. It won't be dead straight. It'll be a little bit tucked at the top and out at the bottom, and I have the right wrist in that angle. So I set the club this way. So this gets me my bend from the hips, slight flex in the knees, the head and shoulders are up, and this gives me the starting position that I want to get the club to move in the right direction with the hands and arms. So my takeaway will be correct if I can start with these angles, which is the straight angle, slight bend from the hips, slight bend from the knees, the head and shoulders stay up and the shoulder blades stay back. So my arms hang this way at the start when I grip the club. So what we don't want from the back angle when you're looking at it in the mirror or trying to look at a player from the back is that we don't want the bend to be too much from here with the top of the body straight, because that obviously makes the head go this way, and a lot of players have a buried head, so then the arms have got no room to hang and they've got no room to move, and that'll make the takeaways bad. So what we don't want to see in the right-sided swing is an inverted position, what we call an inverted position, where the hips are backwards and the shoulders are forward. So this won't get anywhere near the wall with the hips. Then in the backswing, obviously the takeaway is going to be this way too wide with the right arm separating. The other one, which we see a lot, which is a common one with players, is too much angle with their top. So basically when you look at this front line angle again, see that there's too much gap between the top and the front. And obviously this gives the look of someone having what we call shape, but the top's too far angled back, and then obviously that will go with usually a bad grip. So we don't want to see people inverted, and we don't want to see people with too much angle. That's why we're talking about the wall as a reference, and the tuck is in the right hip and right knee, and then when I go back I maintain that angle and coil. I can't coil from here, I'll tilt and slide, and from this one usually people are going to over rotate. We don't want either of those two. There are things that can influence the coil and the turn and the actual staying on the wall. One of the things that we see a lot is when the legs are too far in and the toes are too far in. And this is what we call a little bit of a VW action, where then I can't get on the wall from this side. So this knee and leg are in, and that one is in, and that's going to mean that it's going to lock and block my lower half to turn correctly. We want to see a little bit of outwardness with both of the toes, and in the knee angles, obviously these knees want to be working a little bit out towards you this way. And then when I make my setup, I can actually stay on the wall with that, whereas I can't with this one. The takeaway then, and when I move it away, it's going to allow my hips and my groin area to rotate correctly on the back and then come forward on the through back onto the wall again. So we don't want to see people with their feet in, and obviously the other one would be too much of the what we call the John Wayne or the horse one, where the knees are too far out. Now they can affect the way the trunk works. So if the lower half is set correctly, it's a lot easier to get people to work their their groin and their trunk in a coiling action than if their legs are locking or blocking them from moving in both directions. Again, to influence the shape correctly, a lot of times we see that the top of the body, depending on how it's angled at the start, can affect the head position, and the head position can affect the way that the body's angled. A lot of people have been taught to look at the ball straight down this way at the setup, and then of course when they swing, the head's always the opposite way to the way the shoulders are trying to turn and rotate. So what we don't want to see is people looking at the ball with their heads not on their bodies. So when I look outwards from here, I'm going to see that my head and shoulders are on the line of my body, and they'll work on the line of my body when I swing. If my head angle is this way at the start, I'm looking a bit more with my right eye, with my face this way, which you see a lot of people do, my shoulders will go back and tilt. And then when I tilt, I'll try and turn, and that gives me a tilt and a turn. So a lot of times people get their body shape out of position. Now conversely, if someone's got their head angle too much this way at the start, they'll over-rotate it, and then on the way down it'll work this way on the way back. So we're trying to get in the right-sided swing. When we're on the wall, we've got the tuck in here, we're looking outwards all the time to practice, and looking outwards into the mirror to make sure that the head angle is on the shoulder angle when I work the club away. When the head is not on the body in the back and down swing, if I've got my head buried, I can't actually move my arms very well. And you'll see this is a favourite one of most golfers, because we learn initially to watch the ball, look down, keep our eyes on it, and of course that then locks this neck and head area in. And you'll often see the shoulders will slump into this rounded position at the start. Now, if that's the case, we can forget about trying to fix plane, because it's influenced by the first motion in this sequence. If this is down and tucked, I can't now do that. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to pull it in and do that, and that becomes looking like the problem, but it's actually the problem is created by the neck and head angle. If my head angle is too much this way from the back, you'll often see people when they're looking at it, you'll see this side of their face pointing upwards. This is always going to be wrong. Conversely, in the other one, you'll often see someone's head off to the right here, which means that they've got too much angle with their shoulders. So we want to see the looking out thing again, where we're bending from here, slightly from the knees, and we're always trying to get people to look outward this way and watch what they do when they swing in the mirror, so that their first movement is not a movement with all this down and sucked in. It's a very common problem, and people don't learn to look out enough, because this is the vertical where the ball is, and this is the spot that they're concentrating on, rather than keeping level out here and working the club in the right direction and watching it come back to hit the spot they start in, rather than this one.